All right, thanks everyone for joining us. For what will be the most exciting presentation of the day, I guarantee. We're here to celebrate an industry that has brought tremendous fun, innovation, and economic growth across borders thanks to digital trade. And I should say this is in many ways the quintessential international trade industry, because in video games we do goods, consoles and controllers, we do services delivered by software and digitally across borders, and we do intellectual property, the fuel in our engine. And I'm Stan McCoy, Senior Vice President and General Counsel of the Entertainment Software Association. I'm here with my colleague and co-organizer of today's talk, Ann Becker, Senior Vice President and Head of Policy and Public Affairs at Video Games Europe, and we're pleased to be joining you today.
Thank you, Stan, and welcome everybody. We're glad that so many can join us here today. So, we are very glad to bring this event to you today in partnership. It's not just the ESA and Video Games Europe. We also have the Entertainment Software Association of Canada, and thank you to CEO Paul Foglin for joining us today. We also have the Interactive Games and Entertainment Association, IGEA, of Australia and New Zealand. And we also have K-Games of Korea supporting us from a distance today. Stan.
And we hope you'll all join us after this conversation for refreshments in the lounge, where we have some video game demonstrations set up for you that we'll showcase until 7 p.m. We're showcasing some globally popular games and innovative accessibility products, thanks to our members Epic Games, which is showcasing the globally popular video game Fortnite. You might have heard of it. And our member Sony Interactive Entertainment, which is showcasing their accessible game controller, which opens the doors to participation in video games to more consumers with physical limitations. So now let's introduce the main event. Moderating our fireside chat today is ESA CEO Stanley Pierre-Louis.
And also here to tell you how Poland has grown into a major game development hub with amazing IP and talent is Dr. Dominika Urbanska from Video Games Poland. Over to you, Stan. Dominika.
Thank you both. Thank you both. Welcome everyone, and thank you for making time for this session. We really appreciate you joining us. We also want to thank the WTO for hosting this forum and allowing us to be a part of it, and for allowing us to use this really beautiful space. I've never been in such a great space with a tree, a live tree in the middle of it. So a lot of knowledge will be growing from this conversation, I hope. As they mentioned, we are here to shine a light on an industry and a sector that's taken root in countries all around the world and has the power to create jobs of the future through creative technology, and that's through the shared connections that video games make. You know, video games also are cross-border, as we'll talk about, in how they are made, distributed, and enjoyed. We're best known for bringing joy and connection to people. People play games, the number one reason is it's fun and they enjoy it. And in fact, 1 in 3 people around the globe play video games. That is the number of people who play, and that's only going to increase given the span and scope of games. But they've also become a leading digital industry in terms of innovation, employment, and economic growth. And that's what we're here to talk about. In fact, there's a firm called Newzoo, which WIPO has used on several occasions, and they estimate that in 2024, the video game sector generated $187 billion US dollars globally. And that's more than film, television, music combined. So it is a growing industry and can be made anywhere in the world and enjoyed there. It's probably no surprise that the largest markets are large industrial places. You know, the US, Brazil, China, Germany, Japan, South Korea, the UK. However, there are many smaller and emerging markets that have achieved outsized success in developing games that have captivated a global base. Years ago, Finland, Romania, and Sweden had a minimal presence in the video game sector. Today, Finnish publishers generate between $1 and $1.5 billion in the US, with Supercell, a mobile company, being one of the largest in the world. Romanian published games are still niche but growing and may generate as much as $50 million in the US annually. And in Sweden, that number has grown between $1.5 and $2 billion in the US annually. Most of you have probably heard of Minecraft. Minecraft is made in Sweden and has sold more than 300 million copies around the world. So it just shows what difference that can make in various countries. It seems timely that we're convening here the very week that Director General Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala opened the high-level platform for LDC partnerships. In her opening remarks this week, she stressed the importance of fostering resilience and creating new economic opportunities for developing countries. In our experience, the video game sector really creates those opportunities. That's what's exciting to be here with Dominika and to talk about Poland as a shining example. Poland's an example of a country that has leveraged the video game sector to really grow its trade output, but also its economic outlook. Today, Polish developers are working in real time with global programmers on cross-border projects. They are making games that have achieved global distribution, and their international games and devices still continue to be popular there. So they're a great example of that cross-border importance in terms of trade. I'm really excited about being joined here today with Dominika. She is Managing Director of Video Games Poland. She focuses on advocating for policies that will grow video game development, promote responsible gameplay, and support their application in education. She's the author of the book Homo Player: Reception's Style of Computer Games, which explores how different players engage with and interpret video games based on their diverse backgrounds and experience. She's a member of the program board of the Polish Society for Game Studies. She's a member of the Video Games Europe and serves on the board of the Pan-European Game Information, known as PEGI, which provides age rating information for consumers and parents especially. It is such a pleasure to have you here. Let us just start at the beginning. When did you begin working in the industry, and what was so appealing about the sector to you?
First of all, thank you very much for invitation. It's a big honor for me to be here. So thank you, you are listening. I would just quickly add that I'm also a member of Women in Games Society. So I'm very proud of being here. I started 2008 and I was a researcher, author of the book, so I was finishing my PhD about the video game culture and reception of the video games. And I was invited by the Ministry of Labor and Social Policy for the large conference on minor protections. And because at that time in Poland there was a large discussion about the video games accessibility, content regulation, and also a small discussion about the restriction in sales. But, you know, we have a very long tradition of censorship in Poland. So any kind of regulations or restrictions wouldn't meet good reception in public. So I was asked to present various solutions around the world on minor protections. So I presented PEGI system as well as many others, like you have in United States and in UK. It was British Board of Film Classification System. So I presented all of them, and I was invited by the industry to establish the association and to start advocate for them. That was the beginning of our adventure, but of course minor protection is not the only one topic we are covering now.
So you came into it as an academic and then in the
Yeah.
research was drawn to the impact it could have on education, on society,
Yes.
and the growth. That's,
I started as a researcher, but of course I'm also a game player.
of course. Let's talk about how the video game sector in Poland has evolved and into its current market place in the global marketplace. How large is video game development in Poland?
In terms of some numbers, I can deliver some big numbers.
Let's hear the big numbers.
We are in such an excellent place, so big numbers are very welcome. According to the report, which is conducted by the Ministry of Technology and Development every second year, there are almost 500 companies in Poland, 500, operating in the video game sector. All are game developers and distributors and publishers. And annually, we are releasing 530 titles. So when you calculate it on working days, I can proudly say that Poland is feeding global market with at least 2 titles daily, which is very impressive, I hope. And we have also a very strong workforce, because it's about 15,000 people, and 24% of them are women, and it's increasing each year. So that's also very good. We are working on this process, promoting. But we also have 14% of foreigners in our industry, from Ukraine at the moment, of course, and from Georgia, from Moldavia. But workforce is really very strong, and we have what's very important, especially here now at this event, is to accent that our industry is extremely export oriented, because 96% of the revenue comes from sales on international markets. So we are not making games only for our local players, but
So
we sell them globally.
Wow, you're a global
everywhere.
provider of games. That's very, very impressive. How large is your player base in Poland?
Bigger than you mentioned before, because population of Poland is 38 million, and we have about 20 million of players. So more than one per 3. Almost half of Poles are playing video games, so they are very enthusiastic. And in demographics, there are some interesting points, like 47% are women. But it's quite typical, I think. The average age is 35. I don't know, you probably have...
Yeah, very similar to the US.
Yeah.
Very similar to the US.
And according to the research, there are 80% of our players are adults. So we observe that even silver gamers are feeding our community.
When you say silver gamers, what's a silver gamer?
Like me. Having time because kids are finishing school and leave.
I can't get silver anymore, unfortunately.
I feel silver gamer. Yeah, I have time for games I couldn't play before.
And in terms of revenue, is that about $1 billion US?
Yeah, we have some data. From PwC. There was a report indicated that the revenue last year was $1.1 billion. So that's really a lot. And forecasts are that the growth will continue, because we can also observe that in our internal data. I have a pleasure to have the data from Video Games Europe project, the game sales data. So consumer sales is increasing in Poland 10% year on year. So last year, Poles purchased 9.5 million titles. So still a lot.
Wow, so it's still a growth industry, which is fantastic.
Yes, it is.
How will Poland grow even further over the next 3 to 5 years? You've gotten to this phase. What's going to spur the growth for the industry?
I believe that more than predicted. Because the prediction is 7% according to PricewaterhouseCoopers report, but I believe that maybe even more.
And what's driving that? What will drive it even more than it has been to date?
There are many factors which are driving our industry. Let me say about three only. The first, my favorite, is education, because I'm a researcher and academic teacher from my background, so education is very important in my opinion. I said about the very strong workforce. We also built a quite big universities network to educate people for our sectors, because we have 50 universities offering a lot of courses for gaming industry, and also it's probably important. Coding is written in our national educational curriculum. So children at the age of 9, I think, start learning coding, which is incredible. My daughter is 14, and she can create a video game, not only in Game Maker, but also on Scratch or Python, because they are learning in primary school. And our education system is very STEM focused. So we have 5 hours maths weekly in primary school, and it's also possible to take a mature exam in computer science. C#, Java. You can learn voluntary in high school. It's accessible. So it all maybe seems to be a factory of programmers and engineers in Poland, but I think that our long tradition in this matter, because you probably remember about the 3 brilliant mathematicians who broke the Enigma code before the World War II, and they prepared the foundation for the Alan Turing's research. So I'm very
saying Poland
proud.
needs to get credit for what Alan Turing's been.
Yes. Yeah.
So it's interesting. I was going to ask you what's driving some of that growth. You talked a lot about education.
Yes.
You talked about the coding. Are there any other elements with respect to talent?
Yes, of course. We have events. That's also very important, because let me tell you about 3 key events in Poland. It's Digital Dragon, which is organized every May in Krakow, and it brings together the professionals from around the world. But that's very, very important for the knowledge sharing, which refers to education again. But it's a great platform also for looking for the investment, for foreign investment, for discussing about the larger possibilities and global visibility, which I will mention later. And there is also Poznań Game Arena and Game Industry Conference in Poznań, and Inter Extreme Masters. That's the finals in esports in Katowice every year. That's a global final. So people from around the world are coming to Katowice every year in February. Not the best month to come to Poland, but
It's a good month to be indoors programming.
But global visibility or global recognition is something what I would put a special accent on. You probably remember, maybe someone also remember that Barack Obama was visited Poland 14 years ago, and he received a gift from our Prime Minister, and this gift was the video game. I hope he's still playing. Not the same game, of course, but he's still big fan of our products, and maybe next Witcher. So it proves it was very symbolic for us because it proves that video games are our national goods.
That's incredible.
Not only dumplings.
Yeah, so the gift, not only dumplings. What's interesting about that comment is they give him a game of The Witcher.
Yeah.
And Witcher is now not only a very popular video game, but it's now on Netflix as a show. It just won an Emmy. And so
it's very strong IP.
And so this is coming out of a nation that didn't have a video game sector in the 80s and 90s, all the way to one that is transformed into other media and driving innovation.
That's true. It's very strong IP. And we also had an occasion. I was there. I was here in Geneva 2 years ago, and for the exhibition, we were invited by WIPO to organize an exhibition on our national goods. During the General Assembly opening ceremony, we presented video games made in Poland here in WIPO building. And I have to tell you that Mr. Darren Tang, General Director of WIPO, spent with us almost 1 hour playing video games and discussing about the innovation, IP protection, development, and he was very passionate about our exhibition. So, and later they published the report.
Sure. So what you're saying is the WIPO Director General loved the Polish game area more than any other region in the world.
Like Barack Obama.
Hey, and Barack Obama.
Yeah, they both.
You've got a good track record in Poland. You mentioned WIPO. Many people may know this. WIPO issued a report in May 2024 highlighting several nations, but focusing on Poland as one of the leading regions leveraging local capabilities to build strong video game hubs. It highlighted how early on the market was largely focused on localization, like translations of games into languages and expressions. How has the Polish video game transitioned from its past to becoming a leader in developing popular games and franchises? And how is that different than it happens in other regions of the world?
Yeah, this report was very significant because we were described as one of 4 global hubs to develop video games among Finland, United States, and Japan. So wonderful. And our history is different. You asked how it happens. You must remember our very specific geopolitical situation at that time. I'm also the racing fan, so you probably know that if you are trying to win the race, but all the drivers are in the starting line, and you are the only one from having 10 seconds penalty, you have no chance. And we were at this situation because we were behind the Iron Curtain. So we had many obstacles at the beginning, and we don't need them anymore. And these obstacles were no Western goods, limitations in everything. We had, in other countries, Konami and Sega and Sony, Nintendo, Microsoft, big brands were present, and they were operating and developing their business on the legal distribution via the store of chain of stores. Everything was really excellent. In Poland, we had to be we had to count on our entrepreneurship. And let me remind you also that unfortunately learning English was forbidden. So I started learning when I was 16, and we couldn't do anything with this. I was learning Russian for 12 years. But localization was essential for this industry. And localization was made very often by journalists, by actors, by gamers, by passionate people. even for free, because they wanted to develop this special industry. They wanted to create the games and learn from other countries. So that was really, really amazing. I remember the first big company was established in 1988 by one person in a small apartment, like 40 square meters, with two colleagues, by one person with two colleagues, and they were building computers and selling them to consumers. And their initial investment was $12. They started.
Sorry, I just want to make sure you said $12.
Yes.
12,000, 12 million?
No.
12.
They had $12.
What could you buy in Poland for $12 at that time?
A pair of jeans.
And did you buy a pair of jeans for $12 in 1988?
Yeah, I did. It was my mistake. I could do better business, but I regret.
So then they started that, and then it
They
became a
started.
successful basis, yeah.
Yes, it was very successful, because after the 2 years, they earned $25,000. $25,000, and they were the first company operating in this IT and gaming sector, registered in the stock market. So they were very, very successful. So that's the story of the beginning. That was very, very demanding, but everything developed because of the business resilience and entrepreneurship we have, because we were behind the curtain, and because we had to develop everything by ourselves.
So you've mentioned a lot about the entrepreneurial spirit, innovation,
Yeah.
even learning English secretly, then being able to use that to develop.
Secretly,
games.
yeah.
Was there any support from the government in terms of tax incentives or coding centers to support IT development, but also specifically game development in this time or in this space?
I can tell you that our business model is maybe a bit different than in other countries, because our entrepreneurs have one key message to the government: let us do our business as we want, because we can, and we proved that many times. Our gaming industry is very successful despite of any incentives or special programs. There are some which are not directly dedicated to this sector, and they are interesting. I don't know if they also are available in other countries. But for example, IP Box, because we were speaking a lot about IP. IP Box program is. You can reduce the tax rate to 5% from income which you have from selling goods on your own IP creation. So that's something specific, but it doesn't refer only to the gaming sector, but also to chemistry, to fashion, and other industries. But gaming sector is using that quite often. And the second one is R&D tax relief. And that's very special, because you can deduct 200% of the expenses which you allocate for the development of new creation. So that's but still remember that all these programs you can calculate or recalculate after the whole process of preparing the game. So at the beginning, you still need your own investment.
All right, so there's no specific incentive for games,
No.
but you're able to use some of the others that are there.
No.
What are some lessons that other countries that are developing in this space might think about doing to, meet or exceed some of what Poland has experienced? What advice do you have on that front?
I told you that I'm a big fan of education, so I believe that this is the right direction, because we wouldn't build this strong sector in Poland without the education and without these universities. Last year, I had the pleasure to be in New York for Games for Change Festival, and I was visiting United Nations headquarters. And among many goals of this excellent organization, there is one which is, in my opinion, very, very crucial for us as human beings, to make education available for all the young people around the world. Because I believe that knowledge is our greatest human value. I really believe it. And I would encourage everyone to invest in education because it's our background.
Someone wants to clap on that, so we're going to clap for education. Would you say that Polish video game companies view themselves in competition with other studios around the world? Are they sharing, is it more about a shared input, or is it somewhere in the middle? How does Poland view itself in terms of the other studios around the world?
Of course we are competing. We are competing on various levels. And first level is on global recognition. We have many big titles you probably have heard about, like Cyberpunk, like The Witcher, like Frostpunk, my favorite one because my son is working on that. And there are many, many other titles, like Dying Light or Call of Juarez. You should probably have heard about it. It's a Western game made in Poland as well. And 11-bit Studio is also very proud of This War of Mine, which is in educational curriculum. That's very valuable, great game. So we are competing on the level of global recognition, but we are also competing for consumers, and we are competing for employees. Because during the COVID, we observed the process of drain the talents from Poland. Other companies and other countries opened the possibility to hire people on remote work. So very high talented people working in Poland, they could move or they could even start working from Poland for the foreign companies. It's why we again invest a lot in creating new possibilities for newcomers for gaming industry. So we have a lot of webinars, summer academies. One of summer academies organizing by CD Projekt Red. Every summer, CD Projekt is inviting the big leaders from and big names from the gaming industry just to provide the workshops for newcomers.
And so they're not doing this only for their own benefit. They're doing it really to lift up the entire population of programmers. Obviously, they get the benefit of having their name associated, but...
We are the one organism.
Yeah.
We are operating on various markets, but we are still creating and boosting the same sector. So...
Let me ask you a few final questions. What conditions do you think are needed for further growth in this sector domestically and internationally? So start with Poland and then internationally.
Domestically, I think about money because I told you we achieved a lot without any substantial financial support. But what we could achieve, if this kind of support exists, like in Germany, for example, or in other countries, I can imagine that there is still some work to do for us to convince our government that this sector is really important in Poland and deserves some financial support. I became a member of a sectoral competence council, which is operating under the umbrella of the Ministry of Development and Technology. And we started work just 2 months ago. So our role is to conduct the research and to prepare the recommendations for the government how to help our sector to grow. So I hope next year we will meet here and I will tell you, yes, we did it. We have some support, financial support, some incentives or tax reliefs for our sector.
I wonder also if you think about on the international end, are there specific things that can help in conditions in other countries or that maybe even multinational groups can do?
Oh, on the international level, mostly I'm thinking about selling goods abroad, because for many years we could do that. We could build our gaming industry totally from scratch, and after 2 decades we were such a globally successful because we take it for granted that we can distribute our goods abroad globally everywhere without any restrictions, tariffs, duties, customs, whatever, and barriers. And maybe now we have to consider that it could change. I believe that not, because we definitely would like to grow, and we would like to be sure that for smaller companies, and that's totally important, to be sure they will be efficient to deal with the business without any limitations.
So I guess what you're saying in a sense is, with respect to both physical goods and services as well as electronic goods and services,
yes,
that it's critically important
digital
to reduce
distribution. Polish market is strongly PC focused, so we are mostly based on digital distribution, which is very important for us. And remember that among these 500 companies, majority of them, 400 of them are very small ones, and they haven't enough sources to deal with any over-regulation, obligations, restrictions, and additional costs, because the process of creating the games, you probably all know, is very long, and you have to invest a lot upfront.
And it seems, from what you've described before, because some of that development can happen cross-border, limiting the restrictions also helps there. Things like the e-commerce moratorium end up helping not only to sell the games, but sometimes in making the games that may get built in various jurisdictions around the world.
Yeah, but try to imagine the situation that you are the owner of such a company and you try to develop and compete with others, and suddenly the import of technology and digital goods are increasing, the cost is increasing, so you have to balance that. How? Reducing what? Reducing efficiency, reducing quality, reducing innovation? Is it really the way the creative sector should go to? I know I'm not here to ask the question, but maybe you have different perspective, but from me it's very strange.
No, I think you make a good point. In the US, we are a $60 billion industry in terms of video games. $5 billion of it is consoles and accessories. The rest is content, right? And so,
yeah,
one of the things we talk to our government about is you're taxing the trigger for all of this innovation and all of this revenue. And certainly if you start thinking about digital distribution, that makes it even more problematic. So it's certainly something that we're seeing as well. But it's good to see that it's helped Poland develop into a leading figure in several of these games, starting from zero all the way to having Emmy Award-winning content and games that get loved around the world. So.
Yeah, but we have to remember that this issue refers not only to gaming sector, because digital distribution of technology is very crucial also for other topics we are dealing with, not only in Poland, but also in Europe and globally. It's like public health, cybersecurity.
Yeah.
That's something we have to consider as well, especially I'm thinking about it because I'm from Poland.
Sure.
And you know our circumstances.
Well, you can see why we wanted Dominika here. She is such an exciting spokesperson for industry, but also a real leader and a thinker and someone who appreciates what she has been able to accomplish, but also what Poland's been able to do, and to try to ensure that the next generation of game developers get to do what she's been helping them to do. So I just want to make sure we thank Dominika for taking time to be here, for sharing so much about Poland.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Yeah, excellent. Thank you. Great.
I just want to say thank you both for that exceptional conversation. It was really a pleasure to listen to, and I want to remind everyone in the room that we have the video game demo on display in the lounge, where you can play Fortnite. You can check out the latest in accessible controllers from Sony Interactive Entertainment, and you can enjoy some refreshments on the house. So please join us in the lounge. And thank you very much, Dominika and Stan.